There's a certain look people give you when they know they can take advantage of you. It isn't hatred. Hatred would mean they see you as a threat. Hatred would mean you hold power. No, this is indifference. A cold, careless indifference that quietly eats away at your sense of worth. You've felt it, haven't you? The way they brush past your words, the way they interrupt without hesitation, the way they keep taking more from you while giving almost nothing back. And here's the hard truth. You allowed it. You gave permission. You let people treat you as disposable because deep inside, you hadn't fully claimed your own value. You confused silence with wisdom. You mistook endless availability for kindness. But what if that isn't strength at all? What if it's submission? What if real power doesn't come from giving more of yourself, but from drawing a line no one is allowed to cross? The Stoics understood this clearly. Respect is never begged for. It's established through action, through discipline, through boundaries that guard your peace and your self-respect. Today, you'll learn how to stop being used, how to reclaim your value, and how to build a life where people respect you, not because you demand it, but because your behavior commands it. If you're ready to step into that strength and stop being overlooked, subscribe. This is the first step toward breaking the cycle of being taken for granted and stepping into real self-control. When you constantly give yourself to others, when you're always the first to say yes, you slowly lose sight of your own worth. You become the person who's always available, always helpful, always ready to drop everything. On the surface, it looks like generosity or reliability, but beneath that, something dangerous is happening. You're disappearing. Your availability makes you forgettable. Worse, it makes you replaceable. People don't value someone they can walk over. They don't respect someone who always serves but never asks. Here's the uncomfortable reality. Every time you say yes when you want to say no, you teach people that your time has no value. You show them that you have no limits, no priorities of your own, and that you'll always respond on demand. But the moment you begin to say no, everything changes. People start to look at you differently. They recognize that you have boundaries, that your time matters, that your energy isn't free for anyone to take. That shift begins the moment you choose yourself. Not out of selfishness, but out of self-respect. Ask yourself, when was the last time you did something because you genuinely wanted to, not because you felt pressured? When was the last time you declined a request that didn't align with your values? We tell ourselves that always saying yes makes us good people. In reality, it teaches others to take us lightly. It teaches them that our time belongs to them. What if, instead of over-explaining every refusal, you simply said no? What if you stopped apologizing for protecting your space? There's power in that word. No is a statement of worth. It signals that you've stopped letting others control your time, your energy, and your direction. The more you practice it, the more strength and peace you regain. A Stoic philosopher once said that it's not what happens to you that defines you, but how you respond. That is the core of boundaries. It's never about what people ask, it's about how you choose to answer. When you learn to say no, you're not just guarding your schedule, you're defending your energy, your mental clarity, and your identity. You stop reacting to everyone else's demands and start acting with intention. Stop apologizing for protecting yourself. Stop explaining your decisions. Your no isn't rejection, it's self-preservation. It's how you keep your integrity in a world that constantly wants more from you. When people see that you value your own time, they begin to value it too. Your presence stops being assumed and starts being earned. And when you respect your own limits, you teach others to respect them as well. True respect doesn't come from how much you give. It comes from how well you protect yourself. When you begin choosing your needs over endless demands, the way people treat you changes. They stop exploiting your time, your energy, and your effort. Instead, they recognize the strength it takes to stand firm. And that kind of respect lasts. This isn't about cutting people off. It's about creating space for relationships that actually matter, relationships built on mutual respect, balance, and value. When you establish boundaries, you allow yourself to invest in connections that restore you instead of draining you. You stop being passive, a participant in your own life. Instead, you become the active creator of your story. And that's where real respect is born, not from how much you give, but from how deeply you value yourself. Your no carries weight. Don't be afraid to use it. Every time you do, you shape a life that's aligned with who you truly are, a life that reflects your priorities and values. Stop apologizing for choosing yourself and start standing behind your decisions. As you stop overextending for everyone else, you'll notice something shift. You begin attracting respect, peace, and relationships that actually matter. There is immense power in scarcity. It's a principle most people overlook, yet it governs both nature and human behavior. Value isn't defined only by quality but by rarity. Think of a rare gemstone. Its beauty is obvious, but what makes it precious is how hard it is to find. If diamonds were everywhere, they wouldn't hold the same worth. Scarcity gives them meaning. The same rule applies to your time, your energy, and your attention. When you're always available, instantly replying, constantly saying yes, always dropping everything for others, your value starts to erode. Not because you lack goodness, but because your presence becomes too common. You flood the space with yourself. You become predictable, reachable at all times. And just like anything that's abundant, people stop appreciating it. Now imagine stepping back. Imagine not responding to every message immediately. Imagine taking distance from social media or disappearing for a short while. The moment you do, something changes. People notice. They start wondering where you are, what you're doing, why you're not around. Your absence creates curiosity, and curiosity restores value. When you're no longer a constant presence, people reassess you. They begin to ask why your attention isn't easily available. When you return, your time feels different to them, more meaningful. They realize they can't access you whenever they want. They have to earn it. To become who you're meant to be, you must recognize your worth. Your presence, your energy, your time are limited resources. By becoming selective, you force others to see that. You stop being a background character in your own life and step into the role of the main player. You set the standard for how you're treated. This doesn't mean shutting everyone out or becoming distant. It means knowing when to step forward and when to step back. It means choosing when to give your energy instead of giving it away endlessly. That balance creates space for the right relationships, the right opportunities, the right experiences. When people realize you're not always available, respect grows. They understand your time isn't disposable. Think about the people you admire most. Are they always accessible, always on call? Or do they live with boundaries protecting their time and energy? Most likely, the people you respect have cultivated scarcity, intentionally or not. They've shown that their time has value, and because of that, others respect them. This isn't about manipulation or playing games. It's about honoring yourself. It's about boundaries and teaching others how to treat you. It's about being intentional with your time so that when you give it, it actually means something. When you begin setting limits, people notice. They stop assuming they can take everything from you whenever they want. There's undeniable strength in absence. It's a way to reclaim your energy and your focus. It's a silent message to the world. I am not endlessly accessible. I am not a default option. I choose when and where I show up. And when you live this way, you stop reacting and start acting with intention. You set the terms of your own life. The next time the demands of others feel overwhelming, step back. Create distance. Let absence speak. When you return, your presence will be valued more than before because it's no longer guaranteed. That's where power lives. Now ask yourself this: how often do you rush to fill silence? The moment a pause appears, you jump in with words, explanations, justifications. Silence feels uncomfortable, like something that must be fixed. But silence isn't weakness. Silence is power. The next time someone interrupts you or tries to dominate the conversation, don't rush to speak. Stay grounded. Hold your space. Don't apologize for existing. Let the silence sit. It becomes heavy, unsettling. It forces attention. It makes people aware of you. That discomfort you feel in silence isn't weakness. It's the edge of growth. By not filling the gap, you take control. You send a clear signal that your presence and your voice won't be diminished. Silence carries weight. Picture yourself as the calmest person in the room. Others talk, laugh, fill space with noise. You remain still. You don't rush. You don't force yourself to be heard. And suddenly, people notice. Without saying a word, you command attention. That's the power of silence. When you stop over-explaining and justifying your existence, you reclaim control. People hesitate before interrupting you. Respect begins quietly. Silence lets you take back the room. Your presence becomes the statement. Think about those you respect most. Do they talk endlessly, or do they choose their words carefully? They don't scramble for approval. They understand the weight of silence and use it deliberately. When you stop chasing validation and let silence work for you, something changes. When you finally speak, people listen. They'll start listening to your words because they'll understand that you speak only when it truly matters. You don't waste energy on meaningless noise. That's how respect is built, not through loudness, but through presence. Here's what most people don't expect. The more comfortable you become with silence, the clearer your true voice becomes. It's never the loudest person in the room who holds authority. It's the one who speaks with intention, who chooses the moment carefully. As you allow silence to exist, people begin to see that you're not easily influenced, not easily pulled into chaos. You are steady, you are grounded, and that steadiness is strength. Epictetus once said, "Wealth consists not in having much, but in wanting little." The same truth applies to your words. Real power isn't found in endless talking. It's found in restraint, in saying less and meaning more. When you choose silence over unnecessary speech, you rise above the noise. You stop blending into constant chatter and become someone who stands firm, calm, and deliberate. The next time someone interrupts you or talks over you, pause. Don't rush to fill the space. Let the silence remain. Notice the shift. Watch how the energy in the room changes. You're no longer chasing attention. You're commanding it simply by holding your ground. The respect you've been searching for begins to appear when you stop trying to earn it with words. Silence starts doing the work for you. By mastering silence, you're not just influencing the room, you're mastering yourself. You assert your space, your time, your value, without saying a thing. This is the strength of silence. It's a tool that can be used with control and precision. When you accept it, the respect you've been craving starts to arrive naturally. You don't need to beg. You don't need to explain yourself. You just need to remain present, remain still, and let silence speak. There's another trap many people fall into: people-pleasing. It usually begins harmlessly. You want to help. You want approval. You want to be seen as reliable. You believe that saying yes every time builds trust and connection. But here's the harsh reality. You're not building anything. You're draining yourself. Bit by bit, you give pieces away until there's nothing left. And people rarely value someone who is always available to serve. They take that person for granted. And once that happens, respect fades, not just from others, but from yourself. What if you stopped automatically saying yes? What if you chose to protect your energy instead of constantly giving it away? It sounds small, but it changes everything. When was the last time you did something because you truly wanted to, not because you felt pressured or afraid to disappoint? When was the last time you placed your well-being above someone else's expectations? These are the questions that matter. The next time someone asks for something, pause and ask yourself, do I genuinely want to do this, or am I saying yes out of fear? Guilt may show up at first, but that guilt is often a sign of growth. Saying no isn't selfish. It's self-preservation. It's how you protect your peace, your mental space, your emotional balance. And something interesting happens when you start saying no. People respect you more. They see that your time matters, that your energy isn't free for anyone to take. You're no longer something to step on. And just as importantly, you begin to respect yourself more. Seneca said, "It is not that we have little time, but that we waste much of it." Every unnecessary yes wastes time and energy on things that don't serve your purpose or your peace. Each careless yes costs you something you'll never get back. But every no gives you your time back. It reminds you that you are worth protecting. This isn't about neglecting others or becoming cold. It's about boundaries. Without them, you'll keep giving, keep sacrificing until you're empty. And when you're empty, you're useful to no one, not even yourself. The people who are truly respected understand this. They know their time is their most valuable resource, and they guard it carefully. When you begin protecting your energy the same way, everything changes. You stop feeling exhausted. You stop living in response to everyone else's demands. You begin choosing with intention. Saying no becomes an act of self-respect. Each no says, "I matter." It tells the world that you control your time, your energy, your life. Some people won't like it. They may question you, pressure you, or react emotionally. But what really bothers them is losing access to you. And that's when respect starts to appear. This isn't about selfishness, it's about balance. When you protect your energy, the times you do give become meaningful. They come from fullness, not exhaustion. You become more present where it truly matters. But first, you must stop treating your time as infinite. Stop overcommitting. Learn to say no without guilt. You can't pour from an empty cup. Constant giving without renewal leads to burnout, and no one wins then. So here's the challenge. Begin saying no. Begin choosing yourself. It won't feel easy at first. Doubt will creep in. Guilt will whisper. But this is the most important step toward reclaiming your life. When you stop pleasing, you start protecting. And when you protect yourself, you start living with purpose. Start there. Start now. Protect your time and protect your energy, because when you do, you begin to build a life that actually reflects your worth. You become someone who earns respect, not by force, not by loud demands, but through the quiet strength of clear boundaries. Think about how often you find yourself explaining your choices, offering reasons and excuses for why you decided something or why you set a boundary in the first place. Many people do this because they worry about how they're perceived. They try to soften their decisions so others won't feel uncomfortable. But every time you justify yourself, you give away power. You open the door for others to question your authority over your own life. Without realizing it, you signal that their approval matters more than your conviction. A disciplined person doesn't operate this way. They don't feel the need to explain why they set a boundary or chose a certain path. When they say no, they don't follow it with a long explanation or a list of excuses. They say it once and stand by it. Their word is enough. Their actions carry more weight than any justification ever could. This is where real strength lives. Not in persuading others to agree with you, but in having the inner certainty to stand firm regardless of how people react. Look at the individuals you truly respect. Do they constantly apologize for their choices or explain themselves to everyone? More often than not, the people you admire don't seek validation. They've built self-respect that doesn't depend on opinions. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." That idea applies here. You don't need to explain your worth. The moment you start justifying your decisions, you begin to doubt your authority over your own life. You start questioning yourself. The truth is simple. You don't need permission to live according to your values. You are the authority in your own story. You don't have to apologize for saying no, for setting limits, or for choosing a direction that aligns with who you are. Every time you give in to the urge to justify yourself, you hand control to someone else, even if only briefly. You allow them to question your decisions, challenge your beliefs, and weaken your confidence. And most of the time, people aren't asking for explanations because they care. They're doing it to influence you, to make you second-guess yourself. When you explain, you feed that dynamic. You imply that their opinion outweighs your own. The moment you stop justifying, you take that power back. You let your decisions stand on their own. You stop defending, stop apologizing, and stop feeling guilty for protecting your peace. As you begin standing firm, you'll notice a change in how people respond to you. They start treating you with more respect. They see that you make decisions and follow through. Those who genuinely value you will appreciate your clarity. Those who only wanted control will slowly disappear, realizing they can't push you anymore. This doesn't mean becoming rigid or ignoring feedback. It means stopping the habit of seeking approval before moving forward. There will always be disagreement. That doesn't mean you should bend. The only opinion that truly governs your life is your own. Over time, standing firm becomes easier. You stop second-guessing yourself. You develop trust in your judgment. Fear of what others think loses its grip. You begin living with quiet certainty, knowing you are in control. At first, this may feel uncomfortable. You might worry that others will judge you or think less of you. That discomfort is just fear. Fear of asserting your worth. With practice, it fades. Confidence replaces it. Peace settles in. You stop living for others and start living for yourself. This isn't about shutting the world out or becoming stubborn. It's about recognizing your value and refusing to let anyone diminish it. The more you practice standing firm, the more natural it becomes. You start moving with purpose, knowing you are responsible for your own direction. And when you live this way, respect comes naturally, not because you demanded it, but because you earned it by being unshakable. When discipline becomes part of your life, something changes. You stop reacting to everything around you and start making intentional choices. You send a clear message. You are the priority in your own life. That doesn't mean isolating yourself. It means balance. Too many people exhaust themselves trying to please those who don't appreciate them. They do it to be liked, to avoid rejection, or to feel needed. In the process, they lose sight of their own worth. When you constantly put others first, you teach the world that your time, energy, and peace matter less. You become the person who solves everyone else's problems while neglecting your own. And when a life isn't centered around your values, people begin to take advantage of it. They assume your time belongs to them. This is where discipline matters. Discipline means boundaries. It means choosing yourself and refusing to let the world decide your value for you. Discipline is not about punishment or restriction. It is about structure. It is about deliberately shaping a life that reflects what you truly value. When you begin putting yourself first, you are not being selfish. You are being intelligent. You are showing the world that you live by standards. Not harsh standards meant to exclude people, but clear ones. Standards that define what you will tolerate and what you will not. When those lines are clear, your life starts to reflect them naturally. If you constantly give away your time, your energy, and your presence without any regard for yourself, you eventually end up exhausted and invisible. But when you build a life worth protecting, when you establish boundaries and prioritize what matters most, respect begins to flow without effort. Carl Jung once said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." Becoming who you truly are means creating a life aligned with your deepest values. It means taking responsibility for your happiness, your growth, and your well-being. It means making yourself the priority, not in a narcissistic way, but in a way that honors your worth. When you consistently show up for yourself, the world responds in kind. People begin to recognize that your time matters, your energy is valuable, and your peace is not negotiable. And when they see that, respect follows. This is not about one bold moment of assertiveness. It is about consistency. It is about living your values every single day. It is about building routines that strengthen you, relationships that nourish you, and goals that push you to grow. Small, disciplined choices compound over time. Slowly, you create a life filled with purpose and meaning, a life that earns respect because it is grounded in clarity and self-respect. As this life takes shape, something powerful happens. You stop chasing validation. You stop worrying about whether others approve of your choices. You realize that the only approval that truly matters is your own. You become the authority in your life, not because you dominate others, but because you live in alignment with what matters to you. When you live this way, people understand that your time is not to be wasted, your energy is not freely taken, and your presence is not something they can demand. Along this journey, you'll notice another shift. The people who genuinely respect you will rise to meet your standards. They will show up with effort, honesty, and care. They will understand that being part of your life requires contribution, not entitlement. These are the relationships worth keeping, the ones built on mutual respect, not obligation. Creating a life worth protecting requires effort. It requires habits that serve you, choices that align with your purpose, and the courage to live authentically even when it's uncomfortable. It isn't easy, and it isn't always popular, but it is the only way to stop feeling drained and unseen. Ask yourself honestly, what kind of life are you building? Are you living according to your values, or are you constantly bending to others? Are you prioritizing yourself, or allowing people to take more than they give? Your life is yours to shape. And when you choose discipline, when you choose yourself, the respect you receive becomes a natural result of a life that is worth protecting. Understand this as well. The path of discipline is not comfortable. If you are searching for ease, you will not find it here. Growth demands discomfort. Discipline is forged in moments of resistance, when everything in you wants to choose the easier path. Each time you say no, each time you protect your boundaries, you will feel discomfort. You may feel guilt, you may feel pressure. But growth has never lived inside comfort. Real change happens when you choose peace over approval and discipline over ease. Discipline means embracing discomfort, not running from it. You are not defined by what happened to you or by who others expect you to be. You are defined by what you choose to become. Discomfort is the gateway to that transformation. It is in those moments of resistance that you build resilience, self-trust, and inner strength. This strength is not about controlling others. It is about controlling yourself, your reactions, your decisions, your direction. When you stop avoiding discomfort and face it directly, you unlock a level of power most people never reach. That power allows you to stand firm, protect your boundaries, and make decisions that serve your long-term growth instead of short-term comfort. Growth happens when you continue forward, even when it feels easier to stop. That is when discipline becomes real. That is when your life begins to change. Respect begins to follow you naturally. People start to view you as someone unshakable, someone who stands firm in their values and boundaries. They notice that you're not easily influenced by the opinions or demands of others. And that's when respect comes to you, not because you asked for it, but because you earned it through consistent action. Your choices show that you live with integrity, that you're willing to walk through discomfort to build a life that actually matters. This doesn't mean you'll always get everything right. There will be moments when you slip, when you fall back into pleasing others or choosing the easier path. The difference is awareness. You notice it, you correct it, and next time you choose differently. The more often you lean into discomfort, the easier it becomes to stand your ground. Over time, this strength becomes part of your identity. You stop apologizing for your decisions. You stop explaining yourself. You stop fearing what it means to stand alone. You trust yourself, understanding that discomfort is temporary, but growth lasts. Discipline is not a single act. It's a daily choice, a promise you make to yourself to face resistance, challenge, and discomfort as you grow into who you're meant to be. It's not about perfection. It's about forward motion, especially when it's difficult. And once you commit to that, something shifts. You start living with intention. You stop being a passenger in your own life and step into the driver's seat. That's when you begin creating a life you respect, one built on discipline, resilience, and the courage to face discomfort head-on. So the next time resistance shows up, don't run from it. Step into it. Walk through it. Understand that discomfort isn't your enemy. It's the force shaping you into who you're capable of becoming. When you do this, the respect you once chased arrives on its own. It becomes the natural result of the strength and discipline you've built under pressure. That's the power you've been searching for. Here's the hardest part. To live a disciplined life and command real respect, you must be willing to stand alone. Not isolation for the sake of loneliness, but reaching a place where solitude no longer scares you. There is power in standing on your own, in making decisions aligned with your values without constantly needing approval. Many people avoid solitude not because it's painful, but because they associate it with rejection. They tie their worth to relationships, situations, and external validation. The truth is simple. When you stop clinging to others for reassurance, when you stop needing constant approval, real respect begins to find you. Carl Jung once said, "Loneliness does not come from having no people around you, but from being unable to communicate the things that are important to you." That's what traps most people. They surround themselves with others not out of genuine connection, but out of fear of standing alone. They fear silence. They fear not being validated. Yet the only validation that truly matters is your own. When you live in alignment with yourself, acceptance from others loses its grip on you. You stop reshaping yourself to fit someone else's expectations. You stop performing for approval. A quiet freedom appears. You worry less about being liked and focus more on building a life you can respect. This isn't about rejecting relationships, it's about no longer needing them to define your worth. When your life stands on its own, relationships become a choice, not a dependency. This shift changes everything. When you stop needing validation, You stop giving others control over your emotions and decisions. You don't become cold or indifferent. You become grounded. People sense that you're not desperate for connection. They see that you're comfortable in your own presence. That's powerful. Respect grows because you're no longer easy to manipulate. You've set a boundary that doesn't shake, and others feel it. This is where real self-respect begins. When you stop fearing loneliness, you create space for the right people to enter your life. Those who respect you for who you truly are, not who you pretended to be. These relationships may be fewer, but they're stronger. They support your growth instead of draining you. But there's a price. You must release the fear of abandonment. You can't live worried that people will leave if you stop meeting their expectations. The moment you let go of that fear, your world expands. The right people stay. They stay because they value you, not because you serve them. Those who leave were never meant to remain. Letting them go hurts, but it's necessary. When you stand alone, you stand strong. You stop chasing opinions because you've learned to trust your own judgment. You begin to live authentically, guided by your own values and principles. And through that, respect naturally enters your life. People respect those who move with integrity, who live honestly, and who refuse to bend for the comfort or approval of others. When you stop living for validation, something shifts within you. You create a quiet magnetism, a presence that attracts the right people, the right opportunities, and the respect you've always deserved. You no longer chase respect. You no longer seek it outside yourself. Instead, it comes to you because you're rooted in who you are and what you stand for. People notice the difference. They see that you're not desperate for attention, approval, or acceptance. And that's the moment respect begins. Standing alone doesn't mean choosing loneliness forever. It means becoming comfortable with your own company. It means understanding that you can be whole without depending on others to complete you. You step into your own life as its leader, not because you're superior to others, but because you've learned to value yourself in a way no one can take from you. When you live like this, something powerful happens. The people who truly respect you start gravitating toward you, not because you need them, but because you are solid on your own. You attract relationships, opportunities, and connections that align with your values simply by standing firm in your truth. So ask yourself honestly, are you ready to stand alone? Are you ready to release the fear of abandonment and embrace the peace that comes from knowing you are enough? It's time to stop living for others' approval. It's time to stand rooted in your own truth and allow respect to flow toward you naturally. The choice is yours. Will you stand alone? Will you build a life that commands respect, not by chasing it, but by being so grounded in your values that it arrives effortlessly? It starts now. You are not defined by the approval of others. You are defined by the strength you discover when you stop seeking validation and start honoring your truth. The life you build through discipline and self-respect will attract the respect you've been searching for all along. Stand firm. Stand strong. Let the world adjust to your standards. If you're ready to go deeper into your journey of self-discovery and growth, explore one of the videos on the screen. Thank you for being part of Stoic Journal. Keep embracing the power within you